A comment made me laugh the other day. Somebody say, Lu Bu, you don't need a new ring. You need a good hospital. And honestly, the more I thought about it, the more I realized there was something deep hiding behind that joke. Because whenever players start joking about a hero, like that is usually means something. It usually means that the hero is changing the way people play the game. And when I look at the recent discussions, I notice something interesting. People weren't just talking about the Lubu, people were talking about changing rings because of Lubu, changing formations because of Lubu, changing investments because of Lubu. And that's when I start wondering if we're asking the wrong question. Most players ask, how do I beat Lubu? Seems like a reasonable question. But the more I watch those conversations, the more I start asking a different one. How much I'm willing to sacrifice just to counter one hero? Because those are very different questions. Let's say you suddenly built anti-crit protection. Let's say you change your ring. Let's say you change your lineup. Okay? Maybe your Lubu matchup improves. But what happened everywhere else? That's the part people rarely think about. Then I start noticing something strange. Whether a dominant hero appears, the community immediately starts building around that hero. I've been seeing this happen in other games. I've been seeing this happen in strategy games for years. One hero become popular, then suddenly everybody's account decisions start revolving around this hero. And at first that sounds smart until you realize something. The meta never stop moving. The hero you're afraid of today might not be the hero you're afraid of 6 months from now. This reminds me of a mistake I made in another strategy game a year ago. I spent months building specifically against one thing, and it worked. The meta change. The thing I spent months preparing for disappeared. And suddenly I was left with investments designated to solve a problem that no longer existed. Looking back, I was building a strong account. I was building a reaction. Looking back, I was not building a strong account. I was building a reaction. And reaction don't age very well. Then I noticed another pattern. The strongest players rarely seems emotional about those things. Think about that. A new scary hero arrive. I mean, we was having this thing from season 1, the King Arthur. After season 2 was Lubu. How the community panic? The strongest account usually don't. Why? Because they understand something most players don't. A powerful hero is temporary. A powerful account is permanent. Those are completely different investments. That's where I think players start failing into the trap because anti-Lubu investments feel productive. You feel like you're solving a problem. You feel like you're adapting. You feel like you're making the progress, but are you actually making your account stronger? Or are you simply become less vulnerable to one specific matchup? Honestly, a lot of players is going to run this matchup, but should you invest everything in this counter? Because those are not the same things. And honestly, I think many players incidentally confuse them. Then the things got even more interesting because I realized that Wubu isn't actually the topic. The topic is fear. Fear of getting one shot. And to be fair, with Lubu, this can happen. I mean, you see somebody account just like tsk 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 boom, or tsk tsk boom, or tsk tsk. I mean, it looked funny, but this is the reality. This is a real fear in the players that they can just get touched and immediately one-shotted. And not because of tier 8, tier 9, because of specific hero. Right now we're talking about. Fear of losing fights. Fear of seeing reports that make you feel helpless. And fear is powerful. Fear make people spend resources. Fear make people abandon plans. Fear makes people rush investments. I have been done this before, and most players also have. The problem is that fear usually creates short-term decisions, and strategy games rewards long-term decisions. Especially strategy game like Age of Empire Mobile, where you basically have to plan months ahead, months ahead. Then I start thinking about defensive rings. On paper, they makes perfect sense. A danger. Okay, let me just open the rings when I'm trying to say. Yeah, on paper they make perfect sense. A dangerous hero exists. A defensive solution appears. The problem solved, right? Maybe, but maybe not, because every defensive investment has a cost. Resources, fine gold, rank progression, alternative upgrades, future flexibility, and oh boy, future flexibility is one of the most important thing when you make an investment. If something happen and something crazy come in the game, can you actually react? I don't say you non-stop stay in the investment state, but the future flexibility is crazy important. Like some other ring progression, find goals, resources, alternative upgrades. This is all important things. Whenever you choose one path, you're giving up another one. And I think that's the conversation many players actually are skipping. The moment you invest in something, you already give it up on something else. The moment you invest your gold medals on something, you give it up on other hero. For example, what surprised me most was realizing that Lubu might be winning even when he loses. Think about that for a second. If a hero causes thousands of players change investments, change rings, change formation, change priorities, then that hero is already shaping the meta even before entering a fight. That's an influence, and influence is usually what defines the strongest heroes in the game. Not just damage numbers, behavior change. So when I saw players discussing anti-Lubu setup, I don't think the interesting question is whether those setup actually work. Some of these setups probably do. The interesting question is whether those investments still make sense if the Lubu stop being the biggest threat tomorrow. Because eventually another hero will arrive. Another meta will appear. Another problem will demand attention. That's always happen. The only question is whether your account becomes stronger every time the meta change, or whether you're constantly rebuilding because you're chasing the latest fear. Because, and honestly, that's probably the biggest lesson I took from all these discussions. Maybe the goal isn't beating Wubu, maybe the goal is beating an account that stays strong no matter who the next Lubu is. Because those two approaches usually lead to very different decisions. And I'm curious whether you guys stand on this. Have you changed investments specifically because of Lubu? Or do you think adapting to him is exactly what players should be doing? Because I think this is one of those discussions where the answer isn't nearly as obvious as it first seems. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching this video and my 2 cents over the latest thing I saw in the Discord in form of discussions over the Lubu and the anti-Wubu mechanics and all these things. Again, let me know what you think in the comments below. So far, don't forget to hit one like, also subscribe for more Age of Empires mobile content. I wish you a great day and see you in the next video.